And
no camera. Don't worry about it. It's off.
Okay. And we're
live.
We're live.
We're live. We're here.
Welcome. Welcome to tonight's big race. East-West Racing. We are at Red Bull Ring, and this is our feature event. Just about 10 minutes ago, we finished the JNR Craftworks Contender Series, and if that was any indication as to the kind of racing that we're going to have tonight, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have a good time tonight. Right now, our leaders
What's up, boys and girls?
are running 120. Let's see, we're looking at some 131s, 130, 130s. So we've got some really interesting racing, and I'm telling you right now, 130s, 129s. Those are not going to be unusual speeds for us to see from this group. And that on this course is a fast lap. My name is Todd Wente, Dr. Todd. Ron is going to be racing tonight, so you're stuck with me whether you like it or not. We'll try and make sure that I don't accidentally mute myself at any point along the line. And we're going to have a good time. Right now, we are following Adam Novotny. Adam right now does have a 130, and he's driving in the BMW today, so we should have some good opportunities to watch him as we move through tonight. A bunch of the guys are going to be jumping in as we continue into the practice, and just finish practice in about 3 seconds, and then they're going to go into qualifying. For those of you that are used to this, it's not a surprise. For those of you that aren't used to this, welcome. Glad to have you watching with us. East-West Racing is brought to you by JNR Craftworks. If there is anything that you need for in the area of woodworking or crafts, trophies, any of those kinds of things, JNR Craftworks, that's your spot. Stair Fittings Incorporated, they are one of our primary sponsors and one of the largest sponsors for us. They keep us on the air and they keep us racing. Stair Fittings Incorporated also has a couple of racers in that group, so if there's anything that you need, railings, runners, anything at all that's connected to stairs, Stair Fittings Incorporated is the place that you want to go. Orders.stairfittings.com. And then, of course, Grandpa's Kitchen. Grandpa's Kitchen, which provides a cup-for-cup flour gluten-free flour substitution. So if you're used to baking and you have to bake gluten-free, Grandpa's Kitchen allows you to do that cup-for-cup without having to do lots of math in your head. Save the math for the track and for fuel calculations. Just do a cup-for-cup substitution. Grandpa's Kitchen, they know gluten-free because they live gluten-free.
The most increase on my viewership.
We are in qualifying. Everybody's really on an out lap right now. We've got the number 14 car, Brandon Dooley, that is out. He's out the front. He's probably going to be our first driver, and so we're going to go ahead and zip onto him and watch him as he takes his first attempt at a qualifying lap.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like having the broadcast out there.
You may hear Ron behind me. Ron, like I said, is racing tonight, so that'll be a lot of fun. At least it'll be a lot of fun for me. Okay, and right now Brandon is on his qualifying lap. For those of you that are not familiar with the Red Bull Ring, this is the ring that currently Verstappen likes to call home, and he does a wonderful job with this. But I'll tell you what, watching our GT3 cars run through this track is going to be a treat for all of you tonight. It is a fairly technical course. It does have some fairly technical places, but it's also wide open. Lots of opportunity for passing, lots of opportunity for a little bit of side-by-side drag racing. We had that in the last race. I imagine we're going to see it here as well. Right now, Brandon is running down into turn 6 and 7, Power Horse, and this is probably one of the trickiest spots in the racetrack. I myself, I went sideways in that one a couple of times, and I don't think I was the only one. So it's a place where things can get interesting very, very fast. Brandon coming around with the first of our qualifying laps. He's got one more turn to go, coming through turn 10, heading into the start-finish line, putting on as much speed as he possibly can, and he crosses the line with a 130 for the start. Now, to give you an idea of how fast that is compared to some of our other racers, we've got some other racers in this group that are going to be coming through that just raced with us in the Contender Series, and the fastest lap for that race was 131, if I remember correctly. So these guys are, you know, on their first qualifying laps, we've got 3 that are hitting 130, separated by just a half a second. For our top 3, and then I lied, our top 4. Adam Novotny, Brandon Dooley, Rich Hibbs, and Kyle Robinson all showing a 130, and then our next group, another bunch, all at 131. So right now we've got some really close racing going on. If
it's good, man, it's all right. That draft helped me a little bit.
If qualifying is any indication as to what this race is going to be, you can be guaranteed that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to be very close wheel-to-wheel racing. We watched Brandon take a nice run at it. Let's go ahead and this next time by, we'll go ahead and follow Adam Novotny. Adam that is in second place. Our second fastest qualifier right now. Also in a BMW. And he's just about to start his second qualifying lap, coming across the start-finish line. You can watch the drivers as they progress on that map that's on the upper left-hand side of your screen. Gives you an idea of seeing where they're progressing through the race course. Rich Hibbs kind of making a little bit of a move, wanting to see how much speed he can get. Also in a BMW, just chasing Adam as he moves through. Oh, and we've got a new top time. Kevin Cantonio is set the fastest lap at 129. Let's see if Adam's going to be able to challenge him for that. You can hear Adam downshifting going into this particular turn. Lots of fun as a driver, lots of fun to watch. Also a place where there is a lot of bunch action. Going down into turn 6 and 7. Trying to get a good run on that slight uphill going into turn 9. And then that turns into just a slight downhill into 9 and 10. Adam lining up for his last push, trying to get across the finish line. Let's see if he's going to be able to make any improvement on his qualifying time of 1:30. And he does, 129.8. Not quite fast enough to challenge Kevin for that top spot. But improving to a 129, so quite impressive. Let's go ahead and go to Kevin Cantonio. Let's see if we can catch him on the track. Oh, he's right there in that Taco Bell Liv Moss Porsche. Porsche, the car that tries to kill you on this racetrack, and pretty much every other racetrack we race it with. Kevin does have our top spot currently at 129.6. That is an extremely fast lap, just a blistering pace. Watching him as he comes through 6, 7, and 8. Most of the drivers take this quite wide. Kevin takes it a little bit wider than some of the other drivers, going a little bit farther out. that's probably part of why he's able to get that better speed. He increases the radius on the track on the turns, and that allows him to carry a little more speed into each of those turns. Coming into turn 10, starting his last push toward the start-finish line, seeing if he can improve at all on that 129.6. And he doesn't. He keeps it at 129.6. He probably doesn't feel too bad about that. After all, 129.6 continues to be the top spot. Let's go ahead and jump back to Kyle Robinson in the number 28 car. Kyle also driving a Porsche today. We haven't seen very many of the Porsches over the last in the earlier part of the season, so it's kind of fun to see some of these newer cars and the newer paint schemes. Running the Proltum paint scheme. There's an inside view on the car. He's coming through 8, heading uphill just a little bit, getting into 9 and 10, and he's going to start his push right toward the bottom of the racetrack and toward his start finish to see what he can do to try and get that, try and advance his time. Kyle currently with a 130 with a .07, and he does improve his time, 129.7, so he scrubs off about 3/100ths of a second and gets himself into the 129s. That's good enough for third place during our qualifying session. We've got about 5 more minutes for qualifying, so a lot of people trying to run fast laps to see what they can get. Let's go ahead and look at some of our other drivers that are in some different places on the course. We'll go to Greg Prosch now. Greg is also racing in a Porsche. Where's that from? I don't know why we've got some of those, some of that header information around. We'll see if we can clear that up a little bit later. But right now we still have good view of what's going on the track. Greg right now coming into the middle section of the race course. Greg has a 130 with a .888. Good enough to currently be in 13th position. Trying to put a little bit of a move on this and see if he can move up just a little bit. A little bit of a wiggle on the backside. Heading up the hill, and then he'll catch turn 9 and start down into a short chute between 9 and 10. And he lines up to finish his qualifying run. Taking it a little wide, using every ounce of the track that he possibly can. And does he advance his time? He does not. So he stays at that time slot. You'll notice that the driver order has shuffled a little bit. He was at 13th. He's now in 14th because we've had some other drivers. Emmett Lindquist, most notably. Let's go ahead and see if we can find Emmett in the 40 car. Emmett driving a Ferrari, near and dear to my heart. I drive a Ferrari in the other series. And just cutting a blistering pace at 129 with a 7, 129.7. Oh,
and that's why
because they're excited about the new car. I figured that was the reason.
Yeah, that's why there's.
Yep. All right. So with 2 minutes left in qualifying, it looks like we still have a couple of drivers out trying to make some moves. Jeff Peters, the number 66 car, also driving that Porsche. Yeah, and Ron just mentioned that Porsche redid the car and they've just re-released it, so everybody's excited about trying to use that Porsche. Jeff a little bit wide on that turn there. And coming across, setting himself up to try and see if he can get one more qualifying lap. At 1:30, he could probably get it. He can probably get it in before the qualifying session ends. We'll stay with him all the way through the end of this lap. Nice and smooth through turn 3. Turn 3, one of the trickiest turns on the course. Very technical. Requires the drivers to bleed off a lot of the speed as they've come through that straight, and position themselves so that they can then get back on the gas as quickly as possible. Down through 6 and 7. Smooth and clean, not quite as wide as some of the other drivers. Coming up the hill into the short straight between turns 9 and 10. Lining up for his finish. And crosses the start-finish line, does not improve his time, so he will stay in 19th place for the start of our sprint race. Top 8. That's what I thought the last series was. I was feeling very comfortable with myself. Ron just over my shoulder reminded me that for this series, after the sprint race, we will flip the top 8 qualifiers. So the person that comes in 8th place will actually start on the pole for the feature race. So we give them an opportunity to have this sprint race, and then we'll flip those standings and let them race the feature race. When we were doing that in the last group, I thought the top 8 were flipped on that one as well. Found out it was the top 10, and I found myself on the pole, and rapidly dropped to the place where I belonged. The drivers have just
Red Bull Ring. Have a good clean race here.
And that's race controller reminding everybody to just race clean and fun. Right now, the top 3 cars are Porsches, with the next 4 cars being 1 Audi and 3 BMWs, and then we see a Ferrari. Ron driving the number 17 Ferrari, and then we get a little bit more of a mix of cars. And lights are up, and we're going live to racing, folks. And people start jockeying for positions. It's always interesting to see how everybody starts. Remember, you cannot win a race on the first turn, but you certainly can lose the race on the first turn. Looks like everybody's going to make it through nice and smooth. We do have a little bit of movement. People jockeying for position on this first lap. But we get through without incident. 21 cars on the racetrack today. So there's going to be a lot of activity, and we're going to see a lot of different things that are going to transpire. We're probably going to see some different pit strategies. We've got some extremely fast cars, and we've got some cars that are very close to being at that 129 level. Most of the times, separated by about 3 seconds. So the cars are all very, very close. Drivers very equal to each other. we're going to go ahead and we've been riding with Jeff Peters. We're going to go ahead and jump up in the field and ride with Kevin Cantonio for just a moment. Kevin there in that black and white Porsche. Milk It Does a Body Good. I'm not sure if everybody remembers that commercial or not. I still am stuck with those from back in the 80s and early 90s. All right, there we've got Kevin. Sorry about that, technical glitch over here in the booth. Kevin driving that Taco Bell Porsche. And that long string of cars right behind him. They're creating
Novotny just spun.
Oh, Novotny just spun, I'm hearing. So we're going to go back and see what we can find on the instant replay. I'm not sure. Let's see. If we're in the right spot. Oh, looks like he just gets a little bit off onto the side. Probably gave the throttle a little too quick and doesn't take anybody else out with him, but loses himself the positions that he'd wanted. So we're going to go back to live now and jump back up to Emmett Lindquist in the number 40 car. The Ferrari that's chasing Kevin Cantonio. Right now, Kevin does have the fastest lap of the race at 129. Oh, and it looks like Jeff Peters and Gray Welch have some things going on. We're going to go back and see if we can catch that. And oh! And there we see... Who did we see on that? That was... Looks like that was Gray Welch that went off. Couldn't get a really good view of that. Let's see if we can go back and find that. He's in the pits. This is what we were looking for. Looks like he's coming down through the turn and just doesn't quite get around. A little too much speed. Maybe not in the right position that he wanted to be. So our first person into pit lane. We'll go ahead and catch up to some of the action with Rich Hibbs. And that's where we're at. We are at Rich and Brandon. Oh my goodness, so much going on. Rich Hibbs is currently in third, but Brandon just closing in on him. Brandon trying to get the benefit of the draft and take take as much as he possibly can going into turn 1. Can't quite make it, but he's not giving up. Going into turn 1, or excuse me, turn 3, another opportunity. And Brandon looks like he wants to come around. He just can't quite make it. Rich not really driving defensively at all. Just Brandon having a little bit of not quite getting the look that he wants. That's where we saw Gray lose it just a little while ago. So close. Brandon really wants that position. They are, as you can see on the map, they are showing as being right on top of each other. Brandon coming around, staying right in his draft. Is he going to try and make a move here down the straight?
Richards just went off in 7.
We're going to leave this. Oh, and there's Brent. Brent coming. This has just happened just a little bit ago. Brandon, the Audi, in the number 7 Audi, goes off in turn 10.
Go ahead, Adam.
Gets himself squared away and back onto the course, but now well out of contention. Catch up with Adam Novotny right now in a battle for 16th with Jeff Wyatt right behind him. These three that are here.
Battle for the leads down to 7/10.
Emmett Lindquist has just posted posted now the fastest lap of the race at 1:29 and is trying to close the gap on Kevin Cantonio in first place. So many close battles going on. Kyle Robinson in the 28 car, less than a second behind Richard Wishon, and himself being chased by Josh Beeling, trying to get around him. In fact, this battle for 6th between Josh Beeling, Kyle Robinson, and then and Morgan Teggy getting into the mix a little bit. Just all of them just within about a second of each other. And Jason Rabe is not too far back. This string of 4 or 5 cars. Really very, very close. Philip Scott working on that. Oh, and it looks like Jeff Wyatt. Let's see if we can go back and get a view of that. Looks like, and what we're watching here happened just a few moments ago. Jeff Wyatt making his move and just getting past. It looks like Mooney. Also driving a Ferrari. I'm used to seeing Mooney in a Ford. That's what he drove in the last series. So, little surprised to see him in the Ferrari tonight. So, nice move by Jeff Wyatt. That was for position. Battle for first. Kevin Cantonio. We'll go back to take a look at that again. Kevin is 0.8 of a second ahead of Emmett Lindquist. Emmett just not willing to give up. A little bit ago, they were stretching it out to about 1.3 seconds. Now it's down to 0.7. Just can't quite get close enough to be able to put the finishing move to make that pass into first place. Morgan Teggy, in the 07 car, is getting very, very close to being able to passing Josh Wheeling. Morgan in that 6 Sigma BMW. This was some of the group that we were watching earlier with these 4 cars just so close. Morgan less than half a second. Jason Raid less than a half a second behind him. And so the just tooth and nail battle going on right now for 8th and 9th. Back up to Kevin Cantonio and Emmett Lindquist. Emmett now closing that gap. He's got it just under 0.7 of a second. So he's closing a little bit closer now. If he's got enough time, he might be able to make something go for it, but with only 4 minutes left, it may not be enough. Emmett's got the gap down to half a second. And these two, the interesting thing is that the gap between first and second is a half a second, but the gap from second to third is almost 4 seconds, now almost 5 seconds. So there's a tight battle up front, and then there's a little bit of space, another tight battle for between third and fourth, and then another block of space, and then we've got a big battle in the middle of the pack. Oh, it looks like Rick Wishon just made a move. Let's see if we can catch up and see what that looked like. Rick in the 74 car, that green Audi, trying to make a move on the Porsche. Oh, he goes very, very wide. But he comes in on him and is able to, get his nose out in front, but not quite seal the deal. Oh! But then it looks like Ryan Fry just lost a little bit of control with his car, went off a little bit, and Rick was able to get back around him. Let's go back up to the front and take a look at what's going on between Emmett Lindquist and Kevin Cantonio. Emmett's now got the gap down to 0.2 of a second. He's got 2 minutes left. At the rate that he's been chipping away at the lead, there is every possibility that he can get close enough to make a convincing lead and close the door on that pass for first place.
White flag.
1 lap left. White flag is out for the leaders. Oh, I see it. Emmett would love to close this down, but he's not. We're going into that loop. 6, 7, and 8. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to close it down. Oh, a little bit of wiggle. Keeps control of it. Ferrari just doesn't seem like it has enough to get past that Porsche this time. Interesting because, and Emmett's giving a little congratulations on that, or saying that he's a little frustrated with him. Emmett does have the fastest lap of the race, but just not quite able to get past the Porsche. And that finishes our first. That finishes our heat race. So our final. Right at the end, a little bit of action for Philip Scott. Looks like there might have been. Let's see if we can see that. Philip just comes around Richard Wishon. So a little bit of shuffling of places as we finish out our heat race. The heat race ends with Kevin Cantonio in first place. Emmett Lindquist followed him in second. Brandon Dooley in third. Rich Hibbs takes fourth. Kyle Robinson in fifth place.
The race session is always 7-11.
Josh Beeling is in sixth place. Morgan Teggy at seventh. Jason Rabe in eighth. Philip Scott takes ninth. And Richard Wishon takes 10, rounds out our top 10. Now remember, our top 8 in this are going to be flipped. So Jason Rabe is actually going to start on the...
Race is 27.
He will start on the pole.
Yeah, the other race, the race right before this was 10 and 20. They don't always match because I try to make sure I can finish the broadcast on that one with enough time to start the broadcast for this one. Not always exact.
So we've now got about 3 minutes where the racers can. It's listed for warm up. They've got the opportunity to take their cars out if they want to one more time, get one more lap in. It's also kind of a comfort break for any of the racers. Some of them have been racing now for well over an hour. They raced several of the racers. Jeff Wyatt, Ron Gaivo, Michael Mooney. Several of these guys raced in the earlier session with the Contender Series, and so they had a qualifying session, a heat race, and then a feature race in that Contender Series. So there was at least an hour of racing for them on that. Then they came in for qualifying here, and then this other heat race. So some of these racers have already been going for 2, maybe as much as 3 hours, depending on how much practice they did before the Contender Series. So we got a lot of racers that have spent a lot of time in the seat trying to make things work. Right now, Brandon Dooley looks like he's out on the track, and Richard Wishon, maybe just Richard. Getting a little bit of getting a last practice, trying to make sure he gets one more lap in to settle his nerves, or probably something of that nature. Ron, it's been a while since you raced in this series. Are you ready for it?
No. I spun on like lap 4. So I was in the top 15. You know, it's always fun to jump back in with these guys. They're so fast. They are just so fast, and it's a lot of fun being on a racetrack. But I had nothing for them. They were gone. The
difference between a 132 and a 129.
Oh yeah, it's huge. I was hitting some low 131s, which I wasn't doing. I think I hit 130.9 at one point, which was my fastest I've done in qual. That was my practice best lap in practice.
That's fast.
So we'll see how it goes. If I can keep it on the racetrack. I spun in turn 7, I believe. Got a little loose. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. These guys are really quick. So top 10 is a dream. Never going to happen. I may have woken up from that nightmare.
Not today.
I was not in the top 10.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. Good thing we have the JNR. I got my podium for the week.
Yeah, he did get his podium for the week. You came in second on that one, right?
Yeah, sprint and regular.
Yep. And I came in 10th. I had a P10, but that was in the sprint race. And then, as typical, I fell apart. All right, we are 1 lap to green, which basically means the racers are going to grid. We'll watch that grid happen in front of you as I see it and as you see it. Again, special thanks to all of our sponsors, Stair Fittings Incorporated. Anything that you need with stair fittings, JNR Craftworks. Any kind of trophies or craft work that you might need around the house. Some beautiful stuff. Check out their website, and of course, Grandpa's Kitchen, gluten-free flour substitution. Boy, I just can't talk with trying to do it all myself. Ron, I have new appreciation for how fun it is when we do this together.
It is a lot of fun.
All right.
I'll be over here though.
Yeah, you'll be. Actually, it's a good thing too, because you're telling me, hey, watch these guys.
Yeah, I'm watching the map.
All right, and the lights are on, and lights out. Let's race. Everybody is on their way. Oh, three wide. Oh, now, 4 wide, nearly 4 wide, going into turn 1. Oh. There is no way to keep track of everything that is changing, all of the positions that are changing right now on the very beginning. So much, people just shuffling, everything going on all over the place. Morgan Teggy is now out in front, so he kind of sprinted past some of those other folks. There are, oh my goodness, Kevin Cantonio moving his way up the field. He started in 8th. He's now up to 6th position. Philip Scott in 9th, and he's moved up to 7th. So we've got some really interesting action already going on the racetrack. We're going to see, I'm going to go up to Kevin Cantonio right now. He is 0.2 of a second behind Kyle Robinson. Remember that Kevin took first place, P1, in our sprint race, and so he is actually racing past slower cars at this point in time. It's probably one of those. Now they're not very much slower. It's separated by only about a second, but it is worth noting that it was that he's back in the pack a little bit from slower cars. Oh, looks like there was a pass for position from Emmett Lindquist. Emmett, that was a little bit further. He was in our earlier group. He got moved around, shuffled around a little bit, and was positioned just behind the number 74 of Rick Wishon, and then he got past him successfully, made that move, and was able to make it stick. So that's good for him. He's going to try and move his way up and get back into contention toward the lead. Jason Rabe is just past Brent Bridges for position and is looking at Ron in his rearview mirror. Jeff Peters just passed Mooney, and what do we see for Kevin Cantonio? Kevin is now in 5th position. He successfully made that pass on Kyle Robinson and has now set his sights on Brandon Dooley. He's a half a second behind, but Brandon himself is only 0.2 of a second behind Rich Hibbs. So, he's 0.4 of a second behind Rich Hibbs, and Rich is 0.2 behind Josh Beeling. But Morgan Teggy is out in front. He's got about 2 seconds, almost 2 seconds lead. So maybe he's thinking he's going to make some distance while everybody else is fighting things out. Greg Prochnow in the, oh my goodness, so much going on back there. Let's go back and see if we can see some of this action that's going on in the back part of the field. Greg Prochnow making a move to come around. Oh, and there's where it happens. There's a little bit of a spin, and he gets around successfully, puts himself in position to continue moving forward. There was some other shuffling in the field back there. Couldn't keep track of all of it because it was just so close. Brandon Dooley. Looks like Brandon may just have made a pass for 3rd place. Gotten around Rich Hibbs, which means that, and Kevin Cantonio now in 5th place, looking at Rich Hibbs himself. Brandon in 3rd place. Oh, and again, some action going on back behind. Let's see if we can follow some of that. We're riding along right now with Ron. Looks like we weren't able to get back quite far enough. The action is actually happening further back. But Greg Prochnow putting a pass on Mooney. Here's Greg. Looks like we may be catching that after he'd made that move on Mooney. So we'll go ahead and get caught up with live racing. And let's go back to that battle up at the front. Kevin Cantonio looking for his chance to move into the number 3 position. Oh my goodness, Emmett Lindquist just put a pass on Adam Novotny, but Adam closed it back down and moved back. Jeff Peters and Jeff Wyatt further back. There's so much going on, so many racers. It's hard to pick one and be able to watch what's happening. Richard Wishon and Philip Scott getting close. And it looks like, oh, he can almost get it done. Almost get it done. Kevin does. Oh, almost. But Brandon holds him off. They're side by side going down into number 3 coming.
Go back to live.
Oh, am I in? There we go. Oh, he did get around. I'm sorry. I was still in the replay mode, watching from the past. I apologize. Kevin now in 4th place. Emmett putting a move. Looks like this move may actually have solidified and stayed in place. Let's see if we can go back and see the pass that happened there. This is Emmett Lindquist trying to move around Adam Novotny. And he is able to get around, uses Philip Scott for a little bit of a pick, and then is able to get past both of them and position himself into 8th position. So a nice move. Oh, and then Philip Scott goes off. And it looks like Wishon went a little wide as well. So that battle, very, very intense, very tight, and a lot of drivers in that area trying to get caught up. We're back to live following Emmett, trying to make some distance and catch up to Richard Wishon that's in front of him in 7th position. Jason Rabe and Brent Bridges both trying to put some moves. Let's see if we can see what happened with that. Brent Bridges, and while this hasn't been something that we've been seeing up front, Brent and Mooney have been going at it back at the back of the pack for quite some time. So even though they're not up at the front, they are just not giving any quarter to each other. And Brent able to put that move on Mooney and get his place back where he was earlier in the race. So a lot of fun going on. We're going to go back up to Brandon Dooley in the 14 car. He is a half a second behind. Oh my gosh, I picked one and then somebody else does a pass. He's less than half a second behind on Josh Beeling. Everybody's starting to settle in a little bit. It's a long race. They've got 20 laps left to complete. 7 laps are complete. They're on lap 7. They've got 20 laps left in this race. At the pace that they're going, I'm not sure they're going to use all 30 minutes that are left. Brandon trying to make that move stick. He gets his nose out into clean air, wanting to get a good pass, but just can't quite close it down. Riding in the draft, making the distance, and I don't know if he's aware of it, but Kevin Cantonio is right behind him. So if he's able to make that move, it's very likely that Kevin's going to try and follow it with a move of his own very, very quickly. What you're watching now is a battle for second and third. Kevin Cantonio wanting to take third place from Brandon Dooley, and Brandon wanting to take second place from Josh Beeling. Morgan Tegge's out there a bit, so this battle right here, until this resolves, Morgan's kind of safe. He's probably happy that these guys are wasting so much energy and thought on each other right now and not on him. Philip Scott looks like he is recovered and back on the track. And right now, just in case you haven't been looking at it, Emmett Lindquist has done the fastest lap of the race at 1:29 with a 7, 1:29.7. So that is a blisteringly fast race. Kevin started in 7th position. He's currently in 8th. Everybody nice and smooth, moving through that turn number 3 and heading down into the bowl. Oh, and it looks like Jason Rabe. Looks like something happened with Rick Wishon. Let's see if we can go back and take a look at that. Here's Rick, and it looks like Rick just spins out a little bit, moves over to the side, and loses several places. No contact on that one, so just probably getting himself a little loose. Heading into one of the turns, it's very easy for that to happen and wind up finding yourself very quickly then in a place where you have to try and get caught back up. Back to live. And let's go ahead and see how things are developing for Brandon Dooley in his bid for second place. Brandon in the 14 car. There hasn't been much change, but you'll also notice that there are these 7 cars, 6 cars that are right up near the front. 5, 6, 7 cars. Brandon trying to make that move on. Oh, and because Brandon's spending so much time trying to make that move, it looks like Kevin Cantonio has successfully made a move on Brandon. So Kevin Cantonio moves up to 3rd, and Brandon now has to look at that Porsche, the other Porsche. He's got a teammate in Rich Hibbs also driving a BMW. Maybe the two of them will find a way to work together, see if they can get around those 2 Porsches. So now that battle for second place has moved to Kevin Cantonio, trying to move past Josh Beeling, but Josh has successfully been holding off just about everybody. But the interesting thing is, as he's holding off everybody, of course, Kevin Cantonio is only a 1/10 of a second behind. He's just nipping at his heels. Oh, goes wide. A little bit of contact, it looks like, and it looks like, yep, Kevin is going to make that pass for second place. Josh now in 3rd, and that means that Kevin is going to position himself to try and chase down Morgan Tegge. Josh doesn't want to give up that spot. Trying to bring it back. Is he going to be able to make it stick? It doesn't look like it. No, he's not. Kevin is going to hold on to that second place. It looks like we just saw something with Jason Rabe coming around and making a pass. And making that one hold on Richard Wishon. Clean and precise. Nicely done. We'll go back to take a look at Rich Hibbs. Rich Hibbs now successfully got around Brandon while we were watching that other action. Rich Hibbs got around Brandon Dooley. So Brandon now is in 5th place, Rich in 4th, and chasing Josh Beeling for that 3rd place point. You remember Josh Beeling was in 2nd place just a little bit ago, and he started to fall back. The race is looking like Kevin Cantonio is going to make it go toward him. Emmett Lindquist has moved back into 7th position, and he is trying to march his way up the field. Oh, and it looks like Brandon wants to get around Rich. Not quite able to make it work. There's Emmett. We can see Emmett in the background making his pass on Kyle Robinson. And making that hold. And so now Emmett is looking at chasing down Brandon Dooley. Jason Rabe looks like he just put a pass on. Oh, and looks like something's happening with Ryan Fry, excuse me. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened. Ryan in the 616 car. That 90s colored Porsche. And looks like he got over onto the side. And Richard Wishon was just able to push past. Goes a little wide, and Richard gets it back. So a little bit of shuffling going on back there, but nothing significant for places at this point. We'll go back to live, and it looks like Jason Rabe in the number 2 car, making that pass stick on Richard Wishon and Philip Scott. Ryan trying to get past Philip Scott, and Philip not having anything to do with it. Greg Proch now in the 212 car. Said that there was some action back there, but it doesn't look like we can see where that's actually taking place. Let's go ahead and go back to Josh Beeling. Excuse me, to Kevin Cantonio. This battle that we've been watching up at the front, with Morgan Teggy just gone. Adam Novotny looking like he's going to try. Oh, and Emmett Lindquist. Just behind, you can see Emmett Lindquist trying to put a move on Adam Novotny. Oh, something happened with Emmett. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened there in a little more clear detail. Here's Emmett. We're following Emmett right now. We're trying to see what happened to make him go. And I see. I apologize. there wasn't any contact. He just that was his pit strategy. So he's in, and the first one to go into the pit, and now he's back out on the course. An early pit, and then Josh Beeling also going into the pits. So a couple of our drivers going in early, deciding that that's going to be a good strategy. And that allows for some shuffling on the course for those that decide to stay out. We'll see some of that shuffle going on. They're a little over halfway now. So these drivers that are going in early, and not necessarily terribly early for the course of the race, but not trying to stretch out their time, may find themselves in this may be a smart thing, because they know that they're going to have that they're going to be able to maintain their position when some of the leaders go into pit. It may also mean that at the end of the race, they're the ones that are having the most trouble with their tires, or struggling with needing to conserve some fuel. Brandon Dooley decided to take this time to pit as well. So quite a few of the drivers now using this time. This is a fairly safe place to pit, about midway through. So we'll see if that pays off. Go back up and see what's going on in some of these tighter contested areas. We've got Rich Hibbs in the 15 car that is trying to put a move on Emmett. Oh, and just behind, there's a little bit of shuffling going on just behind as well, as drivers come back out onto the course. Rich Hibbs trying to put that pass onto Emmett, but Emmett putting his sights securely on Brandon Dooley. One Ferrari stuck in between those two BMWs. And Emmett's got the speed. He just can't seem to get past Brandon. Emmett in the 40 car. Let's see if we can keep an eye on that move that's going on right now. And he gets himself into some clear air. Is he going to be able to make it? Yes, he does. He is able. Emmett now able to make that pass. Can he hold it? And side by side as they're heading down. And Emmett is able to hold on to it, but my goodness, so close. Brandon not giving him an inch and not giving up on that position. They're going to head down in Power Horse. Emmett just staying out in front, but Brandon not willing to just let go. As they come down into the straight. Out of turn 1. And now it looks like Emmett is going to be able to stretch that, is starting to stretch that lead. Oh, and Brandon finds himself in a little trouble with Rich Hibbs putting a pass on him. But Brandon not giving up on that one either. Brandon gets his spot back from Rich. Looks like Rich is going to have to work a little harder if he wants to make that one stick. Ron just made a move. Oh, it said you did.
Probably blinked out and went back in.
Okay.
Or I passed Jeff in the pits.
Oh, that could be. That could be. Emmett now starting to stretch out his position. He's got an 11-second gap to try and get up to Ryan. Kevin Cantonio now within a half a second of Morgan Teggy. It's been a long time in coming. Oh no, they're pitting. They're coming out of the pits. A lot of shuffling going on. I couldn't make heads or tails out of all of that. There was a lot going on. But right now, Morgan Teggy out in front. Kevin Cantonio trying to chase him down. And Emmett Lindquist now in third place because of people going into the pits and coming out. His decision to go in early may have been extremely smart because it positions him well for being able to try and chase that down. He's quite a ways back, though. He's got a lot of work to do if he's going to get there. Rich Hibbs still trying to make his pass. He's less than a second behind Brandon Dooley. This battle between Rich and Brandon has been going on for a little while now. They're just over 2/3 of the rate of the way in on this race. And the intensity of the battles in these pockets of equally positioned racers is really fun.
It's crazy.
You talking to your dad? Rich still trying to put that move on Brandon. You know, the course is this course is a it's very much a rhythm course. Every racetrack has a rhythm that you fall into as you try to figure out how to get the most power and the most speed out of your car. You fall into a rhythm for each individual track. This particular track has a very interesting rhythm. It can be quite smooth. It doesn't require a lot of effort to control your car once you get into the flow of what that of how that rhythm feels.
Breathe,
But-
Kevin. It's okay.
But when you are in a battle like Rich and Brandon are, all of that changes, and you find yourself not just racing the track, but trying to make sure that you don't make any mistakes that drivers behind you will take advantage of. Looks like Rich is trying to make this one stick. He's got side-by-side Brandon, and is he going to be able to make? He's not going to be able to make it stick. He's just on the outside. He's going to try and maybe try again. Kyle Robinson right behind him wants to make something of that as well. You can see the drivers each taking a little bit different line, and Kevin Cantonio just up in front of them a little ways. But Morgan Teggy is just gone. He saw the front of the race, the very front at the beginning of the race, and he has never looked back. And no one has been able to challenge him for that position. Kevin would love to, I'm sure. Emmett would love to, I'm sure. But they're both several seconds back, so it's going to take a little while before either of them are able to do anything. You can see them down at the bottom of the screen. Rich Hibbs still behind, just can't seem to make that pass on Brandon Dooley. Richard Wishon has now posted the fastest lap of the race at 129.73. So some real speed coming out late in this run for Richard Wishon. Rich Hibbs closing in again, trying to make this another pass to work on Brandon. Oh! And it looks like Emmett Lindquist. No, it looked like Mooney. Mooney was off in the marbles, off in the dirt a little bit, and is now getting passed by the leaders. View from inside the cockpit. Oh yeah, he's being passed by. So Morgan and Kevin got past him quite convincingly earlier, and it's Emmett, Rich, and Brandon Dooley that are moving past him. Oh, and it looks like Rich Hibbs is trying to make a run again, and this time is he going to be able to do it? He's got the outside line going in on turn number 4. No, he just can't quite get it there. But Kyle Robinson trying to put his nose up into the middle of the two of them, seeing if he can make something happen there as well. Adam Novotny chasing Josh Beeling. Oh, Mooney goes a little wide, trying a little bit too hard. Or maybe the car just got light because it was, or got loose because it was light. Emmett trying to move around, using every inch of the racetrack to try and find a place that he can get around. Excuse me, that's Kyle Robinson trying to get around Rich Hibbs. Brandon taking a little bit tighter. Oh! And Josh Beeling getting just into the door of Kyle Robinson. Not quite making contact, but that was very, very close. Riding alongside with Kyle Robinson for a moment. This is what it looks like from his angle as he tries to chase down those two BMWs in front of him. And he's probably not giving too much attention to Josh Beeling behind him. He just gets himself focused completely on what's going on in front. But look at what's happening behind. Adam Novotny is closing in on Josh Beeling and trying to position himself to be able to make a pass there. You can see Josh focused on making his move on Kyle, so maybe he's not paying any attention to Adam in the same way that Kyle isn't paying any attention to Josh. Let's go back and ride along with Rich Hibbs for a moment. And in this case, he's coming up on lapped traffic. Gray Welch in the 19 car. Gray Welch. I apologize. Gray giving him room to be able to move around. Good driver that he is. Conscientious driver that he is. Kevin trying to chase down Morgan. And Morgan just continues to be gone.
Battle for P11 is pretty intense. Has been for quite a few laps.
I was just noticing that too.
It's not really for much, but it's intense.
Ryan and Carl have been blinking a little bit, trying to. Looks like Carl is trying to make a pass on Ryan that'll stick. I saw the little bit of blink saying that he was getting his nose out in front, and then it would go back. Two Porsches.
Two to go.
Riding with Ryan. Let's go in with Carl. This is what Carl sees as he's trying to make his move and get into 11th place.
Two to go on the leaders.
Yep. Lap 25 of 27.
They're on 26.
Oh, are they on 26? Now they are. Oh, I'm on. Oh, I see what happens. It does it based on what we're seeing. That's cool. Let's go back to. You know, it's always the way that the drivers were, the cars were showing that they were trading places a little bit, and so we go to look at them, and then they're not trading places anymore. but they're still very, very close to each other. Let's jump up to Rich Hibbs again. Less than a second for to Brandon Dooley. Right now, Brandon Dooley is crossing the start-finish line, taking the white flag. 1 lap left. There's Bernie, waving that white flag like his life depends on it.
Good job.
I don't know. Not sure his life or his job depends on it. I think we're going to keep him around just because he's so enthusiastic about everything. You know, we've been watching this battle for a while. I'm afraid to leave it to go and look at our leaders because I'm afraid as soon as I go to leave it, somebody's going to finally make a pass that sticks. But I think we want to go ahead and check out Morgan Teggy as he brings this one home. We're catching him down in the bottom of turn 7. He's got, let's see, who's he looking at there? Looking at Greg Prochnow in front of him, so this is lap traffic. Coming around turn 10, closing in on the start-finish line. And Morgan already starting to celebrate, crossing the finish line. First place for Morgan Teggy. Kevin Cantonio coming in second place. Emmett Lindquist on third. And then Brandon Dooley coming in fourth. Rich Hibbs for fifth. Kyle Robinson for sixth. Josh Beeling for seventh. Adam Novotny eighth. Jason Rabe ninth. And P10 Richard Wishon rounding out our top 10. The rest of the field, Carl Ribbing in 11th, Ryan Fry at 12th, Rick Wishon for 13th, Ron Guyville coming in at 14th, Jeff Wyatt at 15th, Greg Prochnow in 16th, Gray Welch 17th, Brent Bridges in 18th, Jeff Peters in the 66 car in 19th, Michael Mooney in 20th, and Philip Scott coming in at 20 with our 21st, our last driver for the night.
Accident avoidance. Unlucky, but yeah, you had a good pace. Good run there.
A lot of action on this race. Not a lot of action in the first position. Morgan just ran away with it.
It's fun to be back with you guys. Battles were unbelievable. I mean, Carl and Ryan, I don't know how many laps that went. That was like nose to tail forever. It was fun. It was cool to have you up front. I don't know if the camera caught much of it. I know we caught you for a minute, but it was fun. Morgan, nice win, man. Out there flying, as usual. Oh man, it was like a clump the whole time. Fun stuff, fun stuff.
There's that burnout. Little bit of donuts on the front. Well deserved.
Yeah, no kidding. It's cool to see this. Cool to see this many drivers out. 22 drivers is great. 21, I guess, started. I don't think Riv started.
No, he didn't. He came in at the last.
can't see down the front straight with all this smoke.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It looks like we've had a few viewers along the line. Hopefully, we'll have a few people that'll come in and catch this on a replay a little bit later. Once again, thanks to our sponsors, Stair Fittings Incorporated. Everything that you need for stair parts and more. Thanks to JNR Craftworks for sponsoring this, and also to Grandpa's Kitchen. Really appreciate our sponsors here at Bigg Wizurd TV, and we appreciate you for watching. As we often say, if you want to race, don't do it on the road, do it here. Come to iRacing. Come join us and race here. We have a wonderful time, and there's always room for more fun. Thank you much. We'll see you next time.